Hello everyone. I am joining you all today from Sydney, Australia. I'm by the harbour enjoying this beautiful view. And I want to talk about physical health today. As a doctor, I keep getting asked by many people regarding how to be healthy and whether they should do this and do that. And especially all these newer so-called interventions that are becoming very popular nowadays thanks to social media. There are many social media experts, self-proclaimed experts, who think they know what to do to keep you healthy. But I find that some of those advices are very misguided, and also the fact that there are some billionaires like Brian Johnson, for example, whose goal has been to live forever, and there is this big fad about staying younger for longer and to have your biological age much younger than your chronological age. I get it why people want to do that. Of course, nobody wants to die. There are many people who want to see heaven, who want to go to heaven, but they don't want to die. So I wanted to talk about it on this lovely sunny day in Sydney. And I keep talking about this sunny day in Sydney because apparently this is winter in Sydney. And now I live in Canada, and our winters are so harsh. And this feels like, this is better than our summer. This can't be winter. And especially the view is gorgeous. And this is important for mental health. Let's get back to our point about how to be healthy. First of all, I think trying to stay young forever or reducing your biological age or not wanting to die ever, these are all just human emotions. I understand why we want that, but it's also unrealistic. You are not going to be young forever, and you are going to die one day. That's a given. The point is not to live forever. The point is to live well, so that no matter when you die, at least you will have had lived a good life, a life that you can reflect upon and be happy about. And the point is also not to chase arbitrary matrices or what we call surrogate endpoints, because I see that most of the social media health influencers and these billionaires who are spending millions of dollars every year, in fact, just to improve some of the numbers in their blood work, it actually does not make much sense to me. The quality of life is important and the longevity is important, but chasing these arbitrary numbers, except for those that are proven, for example, blood pressure, yes, cholesterol levels, your blood sugar levels, they have been proven to correlate with complications from disease, and that can lead to shorter life or several complications that would ruin your quality of life. Those make sense, but otherwise, just chasing some arbitrary random numbers that may or may not correlate with how well you can live for the rest of your life, it does not make much sense to me. And I see many patients with cancer, and very often they ask, like, what they could have done so that they would not have gotten cancer. And that is also quite complicated to answer. Like 1/3 of the cancers are due to hereditary, so you could not have done anything about it. 1/3 of the cancers are due to environmental factors. So yes, of course, there are some things that you can do to reduce the risk of a cancer, but 1/3 is pure bad luck. It's just mutations in the genes. And every time your cells are dividing, there is a risk that some of them might go crazy and acquire mutations. So you can't, like, you can do a number of things to remain healthy for as long as possible, but there is no guarantee. You can always get cancer, you can always get some heart disease, stroke, whatever, all possible diseases, and there is nothing that you could do to prevent them from happening. In some cases, and there are certain cases that you can do something to prevent. So we need to distinguish between those. So what can you do to improve your physical health? Let's talk about things that we know that do work. So first of all, I guess the most important, the fundamental first advice for anyone is to not smoke. So smoking is the worst possible thing that you can do. If you have not started smoking, fantastic. Don't even try, don't even start. If you have already started smoking, stop. It's never too late. Unless you are, at the very end of your life already, then who cares? You smoke to your heart's content if you want. But if you have not started smoking, don't start. If you have started smoking, stop before it's too late. And usually they say it's never too late to stop smoking, which is a good advice. Like, even if you have already developed cancer, you will recover faster, your risk of relapse will be low. But if you are in a third line treatment for cancer, then I guess you can do whatever you want. After smoking, which is one of the most important carcinogen and also leads to all sort of lung diseases and cardiac diseases. After smoking, the other risk factor that we talk about is alcohol, and the evidence for alcohol is not as strong as it is for smoking for certain conditions and certain cancers, but the evidence is there and these are mostly observational studies. Of course, there is not going to be a randomized trial for this. Smoking evidence also comes from observational studies, but the odds ratio are too high. But for alcohol, the odds ratio all point consistently in one direction, but they are not as high as with smoking. And there is some controversy about what is the safe limit, and there used to be a safe limit in the most recent guidelines. They say that there is no safe limit, and any amount is a little too much. But I would be hypocritical if I asked you all to stop drinking alcohol from today, because although it is listed as a carcinogen in the WHO list of carcinogens, the evidence, as I mentioned, is not as strong as it is for smoking. B, if you consume alcohol as well as you smoke, then the risk goes super high. It's not like 2 + 3 is 5. It becomes more like 2 × 3 is 6. It's not just additive, it's multiplicative. So 2 + 2 is not just 4 here. It can be 10. So the risk gets super high. But in terms of drinking alcohol alone in moderation, I think that should be fine. But the key word is in moderation. And as I mentioned, some of the new guidelines say that it's just like smoking. Even 1 drop is not good, and there is no safe limit. But I think alcohol is not a new human invention like cigarettes are. Alcohol has been there throughout the history of humankind, but that's not a justification. The fact remains that the evidence is there, but not as strong as for other risk factors. B, the evidence is sometimes conflicting in terms of some studies show some protective effect, especially for cardiac diseases in small amounts. And C, there is also some protective factor from alcohol in terms of mental health. If it makes you emotionally happy, if it makes you feel better, then that is an endpoint in itself. So it has to be taken into consideration. But what is absolutely clear is binge drinking is bad. Like, even if you're drinking, don't binge drink. That is really bad. But drinking in the small amounts, it's I guess um, I would say that it will take away all the joys of life. But if you have not started drinking, then yeah, sure, don't drink. There is no reason for anyone to start drinking. There is no reason. And there is no reason for anyone who says they are going to stop drinking. There is no reason for us to say, oh, don't stop drinking. If someone is motivated to stop drinking, absolutely they have to stop drinking. If someone has not started drinking, absolutely there is no reason to start drinking. But if someone and if someone is binge drinking, absolutely you should stop binge drinking. That's really, really bad. But if someone drinks once in a while and that makes them happy, then I don't think the evidence is strong enough to say that, oh no, it's a carcinogen, you have to stop drinking it and make them unhappy. No, the evidence is not as strong as it is for for smoking and other risk factors, and the evidence is sometimes conflicting. And human beings have been drinking this liquid for a long, long time. But if you have pre-existing liver conditions, of course you should not drink. That is common sense. What about other risk factors? Other risk factors include, environmental pollution, which is a pretty big deal, especially if you're living in some of these highly polluted cities. There are also risk factors for certain cancers that are very unique. For example, if you have hepatitis, then your risk of getting liver cancer will go high. If you consume curated meat, you might have esophageal cancers. Red meat in general is also has some correlation with development of certain cancers. And in fact, I think WHO lists red meat as well in the same category of carcinogen as it does for alcohol. The barbecued meat, the smoked meats, they all will have certain risk factors, but I guess the key thing is modulation. Siddhartha Gautama Buddha, his key finding was the middle way, the middle path, and I think we would do better if we adhered to his recommendation and took the middle path for anything except for smoking. Don't take the middle path there. Stop smoking. The evidence is pretty strong. But for everything else, I think if you take the middle path, then that should be fine enough, because you also want to live a life. What is the point in living 500 years where nothing happens? You just exist every single day. Okay, what else? I think we have talked about most of the risk factors. What else can you do to have a good physical health? The most important thing is to be physically active. People talk about obesity as a big risk factor for developing cancers, which is true. Obesity has become a pretty big risk factor after smoking. But it's not just about your body mass index. It's not just about your weight. It's also about how physically active you are. That physical activity in itself is meaningful. Some people say that, okay, they have started to do exercise, they have started to run or whatever it is, but their weight has not come down, and so they find it pointless or meaningless. I don't think that's the right conclusion to derive. Even if your weight does not go down, you should be physically active. That in itself is meaningful. Your weight does not need to come down, but be physically active as much as you can. Physical activity is the best thing that you can do to stay healthy and fit for a long time. But there is also one caution here. It's about overdoing things. There are certain studies that show that in fact these super athletes, these professional athletes, their outcomes are in fact worse than people who are active normally. Like don't overdo things. Again, we are going back to the middle way that was propounded by Buddha. Stay active, but don't make it the whole goal of your life. Don't live your life just to become active. Becoming active will help you live a longer and better life, but that should not be the sole purpose of your existence. Don't make it the only thing in your life. There are many people whose every day it just revolves around the entire goal of being physically active. Be physically active as much as you can, but don't overdo it. And the same goes for eating. In Japanese there is a saying, hara hachibu. That means hara means your stomach. Hachibu is like 8 out of 10 or 80%. So you should stop eating when you are 80% full. Don't go to 100%. Don't go to 110%. So eat less, especially with regards to junk food. There are the problem is, I think there are plenty of carcinogens in most of the things that we consume. So eat good food and don't eat too much. I think like there are also people who overdo this, as in they are counting calories of every single thing, they are making even the simple act of eating, which is supposed to bring us nourishment and enjoyment, they are making it into an exercise and something to fear about and something that is torturous. If you feel like eating something that is going to make you happy once in a while, of course, eat it. Like, don't fret over it. Don't destroy your mental health for that. But fundamentally, in your everyday life, as a principle, eat less. Finish eating before you are fully full, and be physically active. Again, the middle path. What other advice do I have for you? Sleep well. Don't again, there are two extremes here. There are some people who don't sleep at all. I mean, they sleep very, very small amount, like 4 hours, 3 hours, and there are some people who sleep 10 hours and 12 hours. Again, don't overdo this, but get adequate sleep, 6 to 8 hours. And sleep has suddenly become a privilege for people nowadays, because of all these gadgets, and they are scrolling the TikTok videos and whatever it is, until they have fallen asleep, which destroys the quality of sleep, and they wake up with all these notifications in the middle of the night, and they feel like they have slept for 10-12 hours, but when they wake up they're still very lazy and they're still lethargic. So get good sleep, get adequate amount of sleep, maintain your sleep hygiene. What else can you do? Take care of your mental health. I see many people, who have lots of issues with their mental health, emotional health. They're under stress, depression, anxiety, whatever it is, and then they can't maintain their physical health, of course, when the mental health is bad. So, the point of life, like, why are we here on earth? It's just to enjoy. Enjoy every day. Think of your life on earth as if you are on a tourist visa, and your visa will expire one day. Your goal is not to keep extending the tourist visa forever. Your goal is to, as a tourist, enjoy the most that you can on this planet earth. One day your visa will expire, and you just collect all the memories and say goodbye and leave. So don't stress over the minutiae of day-to-day life. You can't take care of everything. You're not supposed to take care of everything. You're not supposed to take care of the world. And one day you die, and the whole world, including all the people that you are so worried about, it moves on. It keeps on moving. It goes on. You are not the most important person in this earth. The world does not need you. So just enjoy the world. Don't worry about small details of life. They will take care of themselves. If not, they were not meant to take care of themselves. If something does not go according to your wish, then change your wish, or just accept the fact that Not everything is in your control. If you can't control gravity, if you can't control the fact that Earth is going around the sun at a tremendous speed, how can you control? And if you can't control yourself, how can you control the world? How can you control other people? Control is an illusion. Let go. Let go. Let go of the tiller. You don't need to be the driver. So have friends that you enjoy the company with, friends that you feel good when you have them around. Avoid the company of toxic people. Avoid the company of people who are always bringing worry and anxiety and sadness to the table. Have fun, enjoy your life, and don't compare yourself to others. There is no point in comparison. You are not a control arm of a randomized trial. You are not supposed to beat someone. You are not supposed to be better than a random other person that you just happen to know because you coexisted this planet at the same time. There is no comparison. There is no control. You are not a trial. You are one singular individual. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. You can always find someone who is worse than you, no matter who you are, and you can always find someone who is better than you, no matter who you are. There are billionaires with billions and billions of dollars who are committing suicide and who are spending billions of dollars on their mental health. And the funny thing is, even Brian Johnson, the billionaire who is spending millions of dollars every year to stay young, he accepted and he joked about it that I'm doing all of this to stay young, but one day I might go on the street, and a car might hit me and I might die. I guess that's the entirety of the advice that I have for anyone who wants to stay healthy for a long time. I need to listen to my own advice. Before you point it out, I also don't follow all of these all the time, but I try to. But except for these, there are no other solid evidence-based strategies that you can do to have a good physical health. But the problem with the world is that these sound like very simple advice, but many people don't follow this. And the other thing is, take it easy, breathe, meditate, contemplate. Don't be in a rush all the time. You don't need to be doing something all the time. Sometimes it's okay just to exist and breathe and soak in. So many things are happening underneath. So many things are happening out in the world. You can just observe. Sometimes you don't need to participate. Sometimes you don't need to be there. Sometimes you can just witness. And sometimes you can witness yourself. You can witness yourself as if you were a third person. Practice witnessing. It is quite eye-opening. Take it easy. At the end, nothing matters. At the end, you don't matter. At the end, nobody matters. At the end, nothing matters. You can think that it's quite depressing that you don't matter, but I think it's quite liberating that nothing matters. Life is a blank canvas. You think that you are supposed to draw a particular picture on the canvas, but the point is you can draw absolutely anything, and it is your drawing. Nobody else has a say on what a canvas should look like. Anyways, nice connecting with you all from Sydney. Cheers. Bye.